Hey there, everyone. It's me, Dr. Steve. I hope you're having a restful and wonderful weekend, but I sure could tell you who's not. And that's Pennsylvania's Senate candidate, John Fetterman. He just got some really bad news. With 2.5 weeks to go, he has completely blown his lead over Dr. Oz. Oz hasn't just caught up with him. Oz has clearly surpassed him. And again, we have to keep in mind, Fetterman once had this supposedly this massive lead in like double digits. Well, it's officially evaporated. There's a new WIC Insights poll that just dropped. It has Oz up by 4. He's beating Fetterman 49-45. The same poll as Mastriano, just 2 points behind Shapiro. And we talked about this in yesterday's live stream Friday. Shapiro's consistently the recipient of polling bias. Red Eagle Politics has noted that Shapiro was supposed to win his last election by 15 points. He ended up winning only by 4. So these polls are overstating Shapiro's support in a comparable way. Mastriano is going to absolutely crush him. And by the way, just so you know, the same poll has Tudor Dixon taking the lead over Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan, 48-47. But back to Oz and Fetterman. Another poll dropped today as well. According to the latest Insider Advantage survey, Oz has surpassed Fetterman 46-45. Dick Morris was reporting yesterday on a McLaughlin poll that has Oz in the lead. And the icing on the cake here is that the recent projection coming from RCP, Real Clear Politics aggregate that averages out all the polls, they're now projecting that Oz is going to win Pennsylvania. So they're actually turning some heads here. They're projecting a 3-seat pickup for the GOP in the Senate. 53-47. They're projecting the Republicans are going to sweep all the seats in contention, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, as well as hold Pennsylvania. And in yesterday's live stream, we talked about the new Barris-Emerson poll that found a 5-point advantage for the Republicans in the generic ballot nationally. Republicans are up 46-41 on the generic ballot. And we pointed out that that 5-point advantage is insane, precisely because back in 2020, the Republicans had a pickup of 14 seats in the House when the Democrats had a 3-point advantage on the generic ballot. So the GOP went into 2020 down 3 points, and they almost got control of Congress. They were just a handful of seats away. If they picked up 14 with a Democrat plus 3 electorate, can you imagine what they'll be able to do with a Republican plus 5 advantage? In fact, Barris has been arguing that this swing to the GOP isn't done. We've still got 2.5 weeks to go. So we could be seeing over the next several days a Republican plus 6 advantage, a Republican plus 7 advantage, and lo and behold, guess what dropped today? An NBC News poll that shows that the Republicans now have an average 6-point lead in all the battleground states. So they're leading Ohio by 12 points, so J.D. Vance is going to absolutely crush it. They're leading Florida by 10 points. DeSantis is absolutely humiliating Charlie Crist. In Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, they have a 6-point advantage. And in Wisconsin, Nevada, of all places, Nevada, that was going solid blue over the last several presidential elections, the GOP is now plus 4. Wisconsin will most likely have a full solid Republican majority as of this election, the governor and their state legislature. Wisconsin's ready to go full MAGA red in 2024. And going back to Nevada, Rasmussen actually has the Republicans up 9 on their generic ballot. And the reason why this is happening is because, of course, the independents, like we talked about yesterday. Independents, particularly independent women, are breaking and moving en masse towards the Republicans. And again, it bears repeating, it all comes down to presidential approval ratings being so crucial. We talked about the study yesterday by Henry Olson of the Ethics and Public Policy Center. It's a fascinating study that went back to all the various midterms going back 1940s, 1930s. And what he found was a fixed common factor in all of them. In every single midterm, the results were directly related to the approval rating of the president, either for good or for bad. And so we appear to be seeing precisely this pattern playing out here, right? So independents overwhelmingly disapprove of Biden, and they're breaking for the candidates that will put a stop to Biden. They don't care who those candidates are, what they believe, or how much money they have. As long as they're going to push back against Biden, That's all they want. That's all they need, and they're going to vote for him. And you can see it. You can see it how the winds are shifting by just looking at what the Democrats are doing. Fetterman is so desperate right now, he actually called in Joe Biden to help him, particularly in eastern Pennsylvania, which is far more blue than western Pennsylvania. Western PA is much more like the Republican plus 10 electorate in Ohio. But you probably saw that picture that went viral of Fetterman standing out there on the tarmac greeting Biden when he landed on Air Force One. And he's just wearing that overgrown suit, tie, and he's got his tiny little head. And it's being reported that he didn't even say a word the whole time Biden was there. The event they had together, he didn't say a word. It was just Biden, and Fetterman's wife was talking to the media. That's it. Fetterman himself didn't say a word for obvious reasons. The more he opens his mouth, the more his poll numbers implode. But it's all too little too late. Oz is surging. Mastriano is surging. Kari Lake is surging. Blake Masters is surging. J.D. Vance. Did you see the front page of the New York Times? Or New York Post, sorry. Its title is Red Wave, and it showed the poll that has Republican Lee Zeldin taking the lead over the radical leftist Kathy Hochul. In fact, their lead story is on how it's looking more and more to be turning out to be a red tsunami. Forget the red wave. So there you go. Some good news for you to enjoy the weekend with. But of course, let's not be complacent. Let's get out there and vote. Absolutely. But it really does look like we're seeing something utterly historical brewing right before our very eyes. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You'll definitely want to check out my interview I did just the other day with the one and only Doug Mastriano. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on that link, and I will see you over there. God bless.